Baby, calm down, calm down.
Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? I'm not dead yet. Although God knows, I'm not sure who is sending his evilness towards me. But trying to rebound from the flu. I feel fine. A lot of coughing. For those of you out there, you know what I'm talking about. Whenever you had the flu, you just keep coughing. Everything else is fine. You just keep coughing. And of course, then it makes my voice sound hoarse. I'm not sure where that term comes from when people say, well, your voice sounds hoarse. I'm like, I don't know any horse that sounds like I do. Just throwing it out there. But anyways, let's get back to Iraq because people are talking about everything that's going on. There's a lot of confusion when Pimpy is not in the game, shall we? Before we get started, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, check out our friends at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $200, you will get an additional ½ ounce of silver with your order. Just follow the link down below in the description. No promo codes are needed. You can find me on other social media platforms like Facebook. I do have my own group called Pimpy's Investment Chat. Over here we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrency, as well as foreign currency investments and any other investments you wish to talk about. Come on over here. It's free to join. Just follow the link down below in the description. I can be found on Twitter, MeWe, YouTube, Odyssey, and now Rumble. Yes, that's right. I finally got a Rumble. And in addition to that, you can find me over here at Pimpy's News Network. If I should ever get kicked off of YouTube, you can find me on any other one of these platforms. So come join me. It's free to do so. The links for all these locations are down below in the description. So come on over and join me. Oh, yes. I was in the chat and somebody said, hey, Pimpy, I don't get it. You're struggling with a cough. I go, yeah, it's terrible. It doesn't seem to want to go away. Not only do I have it, but my damn dog has it. My dog. My dog's looking at me. I'm looking at my dog. Both of us are trying to figure out who's making the other one cough. He said, well, as a person who drinks a lot, how can you drink a brandy? Where are you going with this? Yeah, the brandy helps the cough go away. Really? Now, I've heard this rumor before in the past. I remember as a teenager, my loving father, I had a flu really bad and I couldn't shake it. My father whipped up this weird concoction. I remember it had Jack Daniels. I remember that it had Tabasco sauce, horseradish, a little bit of soy sauce, Westchester sauce, and he stirred it up a little bit. And he goes, drink this shit. And I was like, I don't know about that. I can smell it from here. It was a shot, by the way, and I shot it back. I took that drink all the way to the back. Shot it. Killed it. It was terrible. I'm telling you, it was terrible. It made me sweat up a storm. I was buried underneath my blankets. I had the cold chills for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, I sweat right through it. By the morning time, I was fresh as a daisy. Not even kidding. So I asked my father, I go, what was in that crap again? He told me. I was like, eek, that's nasty. Try to do the same to your kids today. Not going to happen. You would get in a whole lot of trouble. I'm just saying that, hey, when I grew up, things are a little bit different versus when other people grew up. Like, we didn't need seatbelts. You could load up like 30 kids to the back of a truck and go down to go somewhere to go swimming. No problem. If you had a speed bump, kids fly through the air, no problem. I remember getting pulled over as a teenager for drinking while I was driving and was lectured to take my ass home, and they took my beer from me. Those days are so long gone. So long gone. Now, I'm not trying to say that when I was growing up, that was a good thing. I'm just saying kids these days are raised a whole lot different than when I was, and I turned out okay. Just saying. Let's get back to Iraq, shall we? So there's a problem in Iraq with their banks. They've installed this new software, and this new software has done everything possible to keep track of what these people are doing with their US dollars. And in the past, they were able to finagle one way or another where these dollars were going. And they were taking these dollars and giving them to people like Iran, Turkey, Syria, circumventing the United States sanctions. but there's a new type of software that's installed over there in Iraq. And this new software is not as forgiving as the software in the past. It said a source revealed the reason for Al Rashid Bank branches suspending the supply of travelers with dollars. A source familiar with the matter considered on Wednesday that Al Rashid Bank stopped delivering dollars to travelers is temporary, indicating that the amount is running out behind it. In other words, the amount of US dollars that they are allotted is running out. And that's a problem over there in Iraq. The bank stopped distributing the dollar through its branches located in Baghdad for 3 days, the source said to the news. He added that the suspension comes as a result of non-receipts of the prescribed share of the dollars from the central bank after the distribution of the previous share was complete with a quick time limit. Adding that a large number of travelers and the failure of Rafidian Bank to open its branches to sell dollars in this period has led to the momentum by travelers on the branches of Al Rashidi Bank, which led to the depletion of quantity. Let me see if I could translate this just a little bit for you. In other words, all the proper procedures, all the protocols necessary to account for all the dollars that your bank gets and where those dollars go once they leave your bank is not being followed up with. You don't have the proper paperwork. And because of that, we are lowering the amount of dollars that you get. You can see right here, it says the suspension comes as a result of the non-receipt of the prescribed share of the dollars. In other words, they can't account for them. And that's always been a problem. They have been circumventing the United States, taking their dollars to other countries like Syria and Iran, helping them circumvent the US dollars. They're not allowed to do that anymore. They have to account for every damn dollar that they get. And every time they attempt to try to find a new way to circumvent that, they keep getting caught. And every time they get caught, the amount of dollars are restricted. The source also pointed out that the suspension is considered temporary and the sale of the dollars will resume once the bank receives the next share prescribed for it from the central bank. You better be able to account for those dollars, because if you can't, you're not going to get more US dollars from the Central Bank of Iraq. So good news for Iraq. This is the best since 1990. Keely, I like to call it KLLY, openness to Iraq and an American tour to set the rhythm. Love the headlines. It makes absolutely no sense. The Iraqi Prime Minister al-Sudani, through his visits since assuming Prime Minister, to the Gulf countries, Iran, Jordan, most recently Egypt, seeks to create regional and international balances in Iraq's relations away from the policies of Axis. As a result, Iraq-Arab relations have reached their best levels in more than 3 decades, according to the specialists. Yeah, I find that hard to believe, because when Trump was in office, he had peace in the Middle East. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to accomplish it all the way through, but he will his next term. It says here, it's the best since 1990. Iraq's relations with the Arab countries are at the best level since Iraq's occupation of Kuwait in 1990. As there is a total opening to Iraq, and there are many calls it receives and coordination at diplomatic, commercial, and economic levels, says a spokesperson for the Iraqi government. Again, this is good. We've been talking about this for a while now. Even when al-Qadimi was in office, a lot of things were being lined up to help Iraq in the future. The relations with other countries, the fact that they're doing what they could to get off of people's shit list and get back out there to deal internationally, is what they've been doing now for the past 4 or 5 years. It's good to see. So al-Sudani seems and appears to be heading in the same direction. So he's working with other Arab nations, and they're saying this is the best we've seen since the 1990s. Good. That's what we want. Balance to build in Iraq. It says a member of the Fatah Alliance points out that Sudani balance of Gulf and Iranian relations and between the American and Russian to show that Iraq does not want to be the party of Axis against another, but rather to restore its relations with the regional and global countries and to seek to build the country after it was destroyed by previous wars with neighboring countries and ISIS. In other words, al-Qadimi is saying, don't put us in the middle of your bullshit. We're not taking sides. We're not here for Russia. We're not here for Iran. We're not here for the United States. We're not going to be involved, is what they're saying. But their actions are something altogether different. Al-Sudini's visit are in the interest of Iraq's stability. The Prime Minister should also go to Turkey to build good relations with it, especially with regards to the water crisis suffered by Iraq. I love how in one article they tell you it's because of climate change, but in this particular article, they're telling you it's because of Turkey. I keep telling you that they have all these dams built up on the Tigris River, preventing the water flow from coming down into Iraq. At one time, Iraq was talking about blowing up those dams because they were fed up of what was going on. Now Iraq is building their own dams to hold on to the water once it's finally released, and that affects their agriculture. It said regarding Austin's visit to Iraq, Zimbabwe stated that it comes within the course of rapprochement, visits between Iraq and American governments, stressing that Sudini is more rational, balanced, and understanding of the political situation, regional and global countries than his predecessor Al-Qademi, and these balances are sure to bear good fruits. That's not true. Everybody and their mama got along with Al-Qademi. These are even people who were competing factions within the government. All got along with Al-Qademi. I can't stand the way the news is treating Al-Qademi. Like I said, he has become the Donald Trump of the Middle East, unfortunately. But hopefully he will come out of this unscathed. So let's move on. It says Foreign Minister Baghdad and Erbil are working to find out consensus on the oil and gas law and the federal budget. Now, in my opinion, they are truly, after all these years, very close to finally coming up with an agreement between Kurdistan and the federal government of Iraq. If they just can come up with this agreement and they finalize it and they agree with the gas and oil law, which everybody and their mama out there in Dinar world told you that once that is signed, and some of them told you that it was already signed, but that's not the truth. That once it's signed, then that should be it. And oh man, the Iraqi Dinar to the moon. Isn't that what they told you? Well, I think it's a great first step, but they have to do something about the displaced refugees, and they have to come with the agreement of how Kurdistan is going to get paid for releasing their rights to a lot of the oil that is on their territory. So once it's signed, I'm curious to see where Iraq goes in the future, but I wouldn't be holding my breath too long. Let's just first get this agreement, sign it, get it out of the way. That's one of the major boxes that need to be checked in order for Iraq to be where they needed to be prior to this invasion. It says right here, Hussein received the German foreign minister on Tuesday at the ministry building in Baghdad, stressing that Baghdad and Erbil are working to find consensus on the oil and gas law and the federal budget. Well, I thought they already came up with an agreement on the budget. You see, that's the thing with what Kurdistan is saying. We don't have any problems with relinquishing our rights to oil as long as we are compensated properly. That means you have to tell us what percentage of the overall budget we're going to get, and then make sure we get the payments. Once that happens, then it's all kumbaya from there. Germany's over there because of Siemens. They want to go ahead and start installing the big generators necessary for Iraq to have electricity everywhere. You see right here, it says the minister, welcome according to the statement of the ministry and received by Earth News. Anyways, it goes on to say that Germany and Iraq are coming up with an agreement. The minister indicated that Iraq's government is keenest to strengthen the foundation, principles, and democratic values in Iraq, noting that Iraq Constitution of 2005 provides protection against discrimination and guarantees equal treatment for all Iraqis. Germany is there on behalf of the United States as well as themselves and the company of Siemens to make sure that the budget covers the expenses necessary to go ahead and start installing these generators so that Iraq can start getting electricity everywhere. Once that happens, you're going to see outside investors coming in because, well, they have electricity. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what's going on. Now, I find the relations between Iraq and China unique and very interesting. China is an adversary of the United States. We all know this. But for some strange reasons, we keep handling them with kitty gloves. It might be because the Biden administration has a lot of vested interest in China. Just saying. You could do your own research. But the fact that they're allowing, and I mean literally allowing, which means the United States is given permission to Iraq to move forward with China on different agreements. Now, if China was truly an adversary at the moment, like they should be with the United States will not allow this. That's the difference between the previous administration and this administration. Iraq and China discussed the possibility of financing strategic projects within the framework agreement. For those you are unaware, China has worked out an agreement with Iraq. They would trade oil for services. And China was going to help Iraq build their infrastructure because they wanted Iraq to be part of the Silk Road Initiative. So they would lend the money to Iraq. They would help with the infrastructure. They would send their own people over there to do the work. And in exchange, Iraq would send them oil. That has been going on now for a couple of years. When you come down here is what I'm looking for. It said the minister stressed the government's tendency to achieve financially and economically solid partnership with everyone and its desire to open up to everyone and develop cooperation with the People's Republic of China. Great pleasure at the seriousness and relentless pursuit of the minister. Its clear desire to establish infrastructure and express their high confidence in proceeding with the ministry and its purpose to finance a large amount of projects. Yeah, you're dang right. It's in the interest of China. I keep telling you that Iraq is the gateway to the Middle East. Whoever controls or influences Iraq controls the Middle East. You see the United States bending their butt backwards to do what it takes to keep Iraq in their favor. But you have Russia, who's one of the OPEC's partners with Iraq. And you have China investing all kinds of money with their infrastructure over there in Iraq, which is not good for the United States. That's the thing about the United States. We're really good at going in there and doing regime change and tearing down a country through war. But we always promise to help rebuild them, and we never do. And that allows other countries to come in and gain favor with a country that we overthrow because they help them rebuild when the United States will not. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think. I'll look forward to your comments, and I will catch you later. I'm out.